Have you ever noticed that the more you try to prove you know something, the less you actually understand it? I used to believe that sharing my trading journey would make me more disciplined. It seemed logical, didn't it? The more I talked about markets, the more I explained my strategies, the better I'd become. So I started writing posts. I shared my analysis, predicted market moves, and slowly, people started to listen. Every correct call I made brought a wave of praise. Every accurate analysis made me feel smarter, more validated, like I had finally cracked the code. The external validation was intoxicating, a constant stream of confirmation that I was on the right path. Each like and follow was a little hit of dopamine, reinforcing the idea that I was not just a trader, but an expert, a guide for others lost in the financial wilderness. But then, a subtle shift began to happen, so quiet I almost didn't notice it. I stopped listening to the only voice that truly mattered in trading, my own. My trading, which used to be a private sanctuary for observation and quiet contemplation, transformed into a public stage for validation. It was no longer about the charts, the patterns, or the flow of the market. It became about the performance. I was no longer trading what I saw. I was trading what I had said. My identity had become entangled with my public predictions, and the pressure to be right, always right, began to suffocate my intuition. The personal journal, where I once documented my honest thoughts and feelings about the market, was replaced by a public feed where every word was carefully curated to project an image of unwavering confidence and expertise. The consequences were devastating. I found myself unable to cut a loss because I had publicly declared the entry as perfect. How could a perfect entry turn into a losing trade? Admitting that would be admitting I was fallible, that my analysis wasn't flawless. My ego was now on the line with every single position. I didn't enter trades because the setup was clear and aligned with my strategy. I entered because I had told my followers I would, because my reputation demanded it. And when I was wrong, which is an inevitable part of trading, I didn't just lose money, lies my freedom. Each red tick on the screen was not just a financial setback, it was a public failure, a crack in the facade of the infallible guru I had unintentionally become. The worst part wasn't being wrong. We are all wrong in the markets at some point. The real agony was the slow, dawning realization that I had become a performer, not a trader. I was an actor playing the role of a successful market wizard. Every post, every word, every single prediction was another brick in the wall I was building around myself, a prison of my own making, constructed from my own ego and the expectations of others. The joy of the process was gone, replaced by the constant gnawing anxiety of maintaining the illusion. I was trapped, and the only person holding the key was the version of me I had created for the public eye. So I stopped. I stopped talking. Not because I had run out of things to say, but because the noise had become deafening. I desperately needed to hear myself again, to find that quiet, intuitive voice that had been my guide in the beginning. Silence became my reset button, a conscious uncoupling from the digital persona I had crafted. I logged out of social media, deleted the apps from my phone, and resisted the urge to share, to explain, to predict. It was a period of deliberate, uncomfortable quiet. The silence was jarring at first. The absence of notifications and comments felt like a void. But slowly, within that void, something new began to grow. When I finally returned to the charts, it felt different. There was no audience watching, no crowd to please, no reputation to uphold. I didn't need to be right anymore. The immense pressure that had been crushing me was suddenly gone. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I traded with a sense of peace, not pride. Each decision was my own, born from my personal analysis and my gut feeling, not from a need to fulfill a public prophecy. The freedom was exhilarating. I could be wrong, and it was okay. A losing trade was just a losing trade, a data point, a lesson, not a personal indictment of my worth. In that newfound quiet, I realized something profound about the human psyche in its interaction with the market. Every time I had posted my views, I was unconsciously taking on a responsibility for things the market never promised and could never deliver certainty. When people agreed with my analysis and the trade went my way, I felt powerful, almost omniscient. But when the market inevitably disagreed, I felt a deep, personal shame. I wasn't managing my trades anymore. I was managing my public image. The core activity had shifted from risk management to reputation management, a game that is impossible to win in the long run. There was a point where I held on to losing positions for far too long. Just to avoid the public humiliation of looking wrong, I would tell myself and anyone who asked, "Ted, it's just a stop hunt," or "the market is just shaking out weak hands." But deep down, in the quiet corners of my mind, I knew I was lying. And the most painful part was that I wasn't just lying to my followers, I was lying to myself. I was sacrificing capital to protect my ego, the most rookie mistake in the book. Yet here I was, the supposed expert, making it day after day. You know what hurts the most in this game? It's not the financial loss. Money can be made back. What truly crushes you is losing the courage to admit you were wrong, because you built your entire sense of worth on the flimsy foundation of always being right. That loss is a wound to the soul. It erodes your confidence, paralyzes your decision-making, and turns the beautiful challenge of trading into a source of constant, gut-wrenching fear. It's a lonely, dark place to be. Eventually, the weight became too much to bear. I stopped trading altogether for a while. No charts, no posts, no analysis, just pure, unadulterated silence. I needed to disconnect completely to find my way back. And in that quiet, I finally asked myself the question I had been avoiding for years. Who am I if I am not the guy who was always right about the market? The answer was both terrifying and incredibly freeing. I was just a person, a person trying to find peace in a chaotic world. A person trying to navigate the complexities of life, just like everyone else. When I returned to trading, it was like I was back in the very beginning of my journey come detached, and with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. Each trade became a reflection of my inner state of mind, not a projection for my reputation. I started journaling again, but this time the notes were only for myself, raw, honest, and unfiltered. They weren't for followers. They were for my own growth. I rediscovered the simple beauty of the process, the observation, the hypothesis, the execution, the review. Now, I don't need the likes or the applause. The only validation I seek is internal. All I need is a quiet morning, a clean chart free of clutter, and a clear heart free of ego. I don't chase trades anymore. I wait for them to come to me. I write my notes, I document my thoughts, and I learn from my mistakes in private. Trading has turned from a public performance into a private practice. It's no longer about being right. It's about being real. It's about being honest with myself, first and foremost. Today, my life moves at a slower pace. I sleep better at night, free from the anxiety of overnight positions that were more about ego than edge. Some days, I make only one carefully selected trade. Some weeks, I make none at all, but I am at peace, and that sense of inner calm is more profitable and sustainable than any winning streak I ever had. The frantic energy has been replaced by a patient stillness. People I used to know online sometimes ask, "Do you still trade?" I just smile and give them a simple, honest answer. Yes, but not to live to stay alive. It's no longer my entire identity, but a part of my life that I approach with respect and humility, because I've learned that true financial freedom isn't about having more money than everyone else, bikinis, or the influencer lifestyle. It's about having the freedom to live your life on your own terms, quietly, peacefully, without feeling the relentless need to prove a single thing to anyone. It's the freedom from your own ego. If you find yourself tired of the performance, tired of constantly needing to prove yourself in the market or in life, just pause. Don't quit, but give yourself permission to be silent. Take a step back and listen, 'cause in trading and in life, silence isn't a sign of weakness. It's the sacred space where real traders and real people survive long enough to understand who they truly are.